If you built a product and you have revenue, but you don't have that consistent put $1 in, get $2 out of your go-to-market machine, it's most likely because you have product market fit, but you're missing one crucial element to your strategy. That's why I'm excited to have today the go-to-market and marketing expert, Jen Sillars. And she's going to unpack what that one crucial element is and how to revamp your go-to-market plan to have it instilled within. So whether you're a business owner or a marketer, this one conversation could potentially add millions to your revenue. And that's why I'm excited to get into it. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here. So before we get started for our listener, let's define terms. What is go-to-market?
Yeah, so I might start with something semi-controversial here. Go-to-market strategy is just a marketing strategy, and that's not to be dismissive of it. Marketing strategies are fundamental business strategies at the end of the day. It's your right to win your market, so who you're targeting, how you're going to get in front of them, and how you're going to close those deals. And it's your plan to make those millions.
Yeah, that's amazing, because how does product market fit then? What's the definition of that when it comes to go-to-market?
Okay, so if you look, there are varied definitions of product market fit, and like all of the guys behind like YC and like the startup scene in general have their kind of taglines on product market fit. I think of it as a stage in your go-to-market, the stage that is building that repeatability that you can then scale a team around. It's a really exciting stage for founders. It's where they get to experiment. It's where a lot of the time maybe founding marketers come in and they get to experiment too. I think if you're in tech, you love experimenting. So it's a really fun phase. But it has to have validation criteria, and that's what you have to think for yourself. Like, what does product market fit look like? Because ultimately, what you are looking for is a defined segment who have a defined problem that you can meet with value that people will consistently pay for. And that is the most important part. And that's what I need to keep drilling into founders all the time. It's not a checkbox exercise. Like, you might... When you're doing product development, you will look at that category that you're building within, and there will be a checklist of features that a user will, expect. And I've had conversations with some founders where they're just like, I just need to tick another couple of these boxes, get a couple of these features built in, and then I'll have fit. And it's not about that.
Right.
Because all you've done there is replicate what already exists in the market. Product market fit isn't a product checklist. It's about finding viability for your business. And that comes from selling. So getting enough money in the door that you now have something that's repeatable, that you can train a sales team on, train a marketing team on. So then it's not all on the founder. It's a viability.
Yeah. And with that business viability, I know that you have your P2V, the one crucial step that's usually missing from all of the founders that you've spoken to, all of the marketers, all of the businesses that you've helped. Can you unpack what is that one crucial step that is usually missing from these businesses, holding them back in their business viability?
Yeah. So I've been looking at this whole issue of go-to-market in tech I've been in the business 12 plus years. That number always changes. As I've got to that age now where I want the numbers to be a little bit fuzzy. But let's say 12 years.
Yeah. Totally get that.
So let's say 12 years, right? And I've been in-house in startups, in enterprise tech, in deep tech, in SaaS. But just in this last year, just made the choice to go out into consultancy. A lot of the reason because, especially I see in Europe, most of the product marketing talent was locked up in big enterprises. So you'd have the most exciting tech companies with no product marketing talent. And then you would have companies who've already kind of won the game, have like a team of 8. There was such a mismatch. And I really feel that more of these smaller companies, they deserve that breakthrough that gets you to winning market, gets you to viability. And what I found consistently is that it's your value story that is usually missing something.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's two things generally that is missing. So I think of product to value, it has analogies to the sort of value proposition work you'll see product marketers talk about. But what's also layered in is a deeper understanding of the customer's world that gives you a deeper understanding of where your product interacts with their world. And that is where you can start making deeper connections with what your product does and what your market is really like grappling with, like what their aspirations are, and making it really clear what that link is between what your product does and what your market needs. Because I hate to break it to you people, when we're talking about value, if you are building B2B tech, the only value you have to offer people is what your product does. So that's what really needs to be locked in. But the second part that I've come to understand the importance more so of this year is defensibility. So it's not enough to even just be really clear about that value, have that value story be really strong, but you need to make that decision defensible too. So the value has to outstack the pain of purchase, because in B2B tech, like the pain of purchase is real. I've personally held like massive budgets in the past. Like there was a point in time where I held almost £1 million budgets. And even I walked away from some like really nice point solutions that weren't even expensive. Like that wasn't the problem. I could see what I was going to get from it. I could afford it, but it wasn't worth the hassle of doing the like 6-page supplier onboarding, you know?
Yeah.
So it's always easier to not buy something than buy something in B2B world. So you need to be really clear about that value, how your product actually delivers value, and make that buying decision defensible.
Right. And I think a lot of businesses are missing that product to value piece. And that's why it's part of your strategy that you teach these other businesses. So it's killer, major. I love that. What is product to value if someone was like, okay, just break it down for me, Jen? What is product to value and how can I implement it, or how should I start thinking about it? Because, you know, you're a tenured go-to-market expert, marketing expert. So you've been in the field for decades. Now, if someone's listening and they're like, I'm new, or we have budget, or, you know, we're afraid of investing in ourselves, or we're afraid of really revamping our go-to-market because, hey, it's been working a little bit. But like I said in the intro, the $1 is not creating two. So what is product to value and why did you create that in order to help these businesses?
The topic of investment is really important because I think teams are really stretched right now, and there's not a lot of budget for, you know, doing the real strategic work that would actually help in the long run. But anyone can do product to value work. I do think it is easier if you bring someone impartial in to help the process, but you can do it yourself. And more than anything, I want people to think of it as it's a shared internal mindset and understanding of the customer and the problem that you're solving. So, and the whole thing that it really appeals to the way that my brain works. So the way that I start working with clients is with whiteboarding. I would do everything on a whiteboard if you would let me. I do a lot in my day-to-day life too. That and sticky notes, a whiteboard and sticky notes are just like my happy place.
Heck yeah.
And I think there is like some science to it, because one of the things that happens with teams and especially founders after they've been in it for maybe more than a couple years, like when you're an expert on something, you default to efficiency. So the way that you articulate the problem gets like really streamlined, and that is like simplicity in your message is great, and like there's a lot of marketers that just focus on that. But I think simplicity that's based on depth and nuance is a different simplicity than just like the efficient message that ends up sounding like everyone else. So I think what you do when you dedicate the time to go back to a whiteboard is you saying to yourself, I'm going to reopen my mind up. And what's really important is just to get every half thought out there on the table, because it's in your brain for a reason. I'm actually a big believer in believing in your gut, and especially your gut as a founder. Like that's what got you to where you are. And the idea that our gut isn't data driven, it is. Like your brain is the biggest LLM in the world. You know what I mean? So what happens with you've got sticky notes on a whiteboard is if you dedicate that towards looking at who am I influencing in this buying decision, get them up on the board. What do they really care about? What are their pains? What are their actual jobs to be done? And what frictions are they having within that? And then you build this like really clear shared vision of what the prospect's world looks like. And that's the strongest base that you can have for doing more of that deeper work.
Yeah, I love that. And I like the fact that you highlight the critical nature of having basically the trilogy of go-to-market, product market fit, and product to value. But let's say a business owner right now or a marketer is listening and they're like, we're missing one critical element of this. We're missing one piece. What would that actually lead to? Why is that important that you have all three and you don't miss one?
Yeah, I think these things are all inevitably interconnected. Like we could spend this next hour just talking about go-to-market strategy and all like the elements that includes. Like that includes your positioning, and your positioning includes your differentiation. It includes that value story. Includes who your ICP is. It includes that defensibility. So like, and within each of those, you can take like a step now down into like the next level of detail, the next and next. So it's just all so interconnected, and this is where like a lot of it breaks down, because the nuance of it is actually powerful. And as companies scale, the teams that are in charge of more execution, they lose out on a lot of that nuance. So I'd actually challenge any company, like no matter what stage that they're at, to go back to basics sometimes and get everything back out on the board, because the market's changed.
I feel like a lot of them think that their product is their moat. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So, and you see this changing now, especially with AI too. So I used to say product was the moat because it was the hardest piece. It's hard to build things. It's hard to build the right things, I would argue, more than anything. But now with like low code, no code, blah, 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 people are spinning up MVPs like in a day, and it may not be enough for production ready enterprise grade, but if it's enough to get you funding, then that's all it needs to do at that stage, you know? So then people are starting to say distribution is the moat. But I spend a lot of time talking to sales and marketing people, and they're all being pushed to use the AI like outreach tools. And like people still exist. They're more online than ever. Like events have come back now. Like it's not, I don't actually think it's any harder than ever to get in front of people. So actually what I think is the moat now is that depth of understanding of your customer and really owning a pain and showing enthusiasm and like genuine passion for that pain. Because I think buyers now, because they are actually more inundated with outreach than ever, you can see conversion rates are already dropping off a cliff, which is scary for all of us sales and marketing people. So there's fatigue in buyers, and there's wariness in buyers too. Like, even, especially with AI products, they're the only ones getting funding nowadays. And even those of us who like love picking up an AI tool, like there's still a wariness around it. Like, is this going to work? Like, is this going to be hallucinating? Like, can I rely on this? So that's what we're battling against now, like that inherent wariness and kind of switched offness of a customer. So if you can show a real true depth of understanding of their problem and a passion for solving that problem, I actually think that is the moat. And let me tell you a wee story, actually.
Yeah, please.
So I spend a wee bit of time hanging out at incubators and things like that. And I met this founder a few weeks back who is juggling multiple companies at this point in time. And he's a builder. So I think he's very attracted to the, I could do this, and like I can visualize how I can build something that helps this problem. And I think he's a bit addicted to the build and that like gratification for him of being able to build something.
Yeah, and the launch. Everyone loves a launch.
Yeah, and launch
something new.
Yeah, and what does that launch mean? Like, you just posted about it once and then hope for the best.
Exactly.
And none of his companies are getting any traction.
How many companies does he have? Do you know?
At least 3.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Wow. And he's got, he's secured funding on a couple of them, like pre-seed funding. But none of them are getting traction. And like, he doesn't seem that bothered about it. Like, and I think buyers are going to sense that, like, that there's not depth to what he's doing there. Like, that it's not built to solve like a genuine need, like for a passion for an audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if that's the shallowness that you're going to market, then you're not going to get traction because you're up already against this wariness. Whereas you look at companies like 11 Labs, and their origin story is so interesting, and they're one of these amazing ones that have gone from like naught to like world changer in 12 months. And they, even though they've grown into more, they started from a spark of like a genuine problem and like a genuine fix, because they are from Poland, and there's all of the, you know, like box office hits, Marvel films, whatever, are all just dubbed in the most like basic way possible. Even like there's not even multiple voice actors a lot of the time. So that's where the 11 Labs idea came from. Like we could improve this, and we could have multiple voices, and it could actually sound like interesting and good. And that, I think, from that spark of like really wanting to do something for people, you're also more energized to build something amazing. And yeah, now they do have the best voice model, even better than OpenAI, and all the like massively well-funded. So there's passion for a problem is so underrated. Your passion is your moat.
Yeah. It's so true. And also the fact of having focus.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, before we jump back into the video, I want to say 2 things. Firstly, thank you for watching. It seriously means a lot that you're here. But did you know that 85% of people who watch my YouTube channel aren't subscribed? Which means that there's a high probability that you aren't subscribed either. So if you're enjoying this video right now and you haven't subscribed yet, I would highly encourage you to subscribe. It would help a lot more other PMMs find out about the channel and upskill and uplevel themselves as well. Secondly, if you're a product marketing manager who feels overlooked, underpaid, and just not respected the way you feel you should be at work, I want to encourage you to join me in a very special online experience called the Profitable PMM Challenge. It's a special 5-day live coaching experience where I will take you through the exact system that I've used in my career and for my clients to help position you as a more respected, more valued, and higher paid PMM without burning out, having to beg anyone for a promotion, or waiting for someone else to value you. Whether you want to grow in your current role or position yourself for a promotion, raise, or a new job, I would encourage you to join the Profitable PMM Challenge. You'll get daily trainings, practical exercises, and if you go VIP, you will have an additional 1-hour live coaching call with me to have your specific questions answered. The link is in the description or the show notes. Check it out, and I will see you inside the Profitable PMM Challenge. Now, let's get back to the video. The sheer fact, if you're a founder and you're a business owner or even a marketer and you have laser focused ability to say, okay, who is our customer? What is our product to value, as you rightfully say? And therefore, how are we going to have a go-to-market plan that absolutely slaps? So right now, Jen, a lot of organizations are under a lot of pressure from, as you mentioned, AI companies popping out of nowhere. They don't have the depth, but they are competing with them, or pressure to build pipeline, pressure to hit specific revenue targets from private equity, et cetera, et cetera. What would be your advice to them, or how would you build out a strategy or a plan that would enable them to hit those goals? How have you helped your customers as well? That's like 5 questions in one.
Yeah, I'll answer some smattering of those.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it does start with relooking your fundamentals, but I think people assume that means like just sitting off in a room and doing deep strategy work for like 3 months before you're back out in the market again. And it doesn't have to be that way. Let me tell you my origin story a little bit, because I think it really, I've noticed more and more that it does fundamentally drive like my approach with clients now. So one of my first like proper product marketing jobs was about 10 years ago. Although in hindsight, I was doing product marketing before that, before I knew it was product marketing, which is an interesting look at how quickly the rise of product marketing has come about. But I was at this company called IdeaGen, which was AIM-listed public company at the time, and they were their growth strategy was very M&A driven. So I was leading the product marketing function at that time, and we would have acquisitions coming in 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year, and my team would get maybe a couple of days notice that there was a new acquisition incoming, and this company like cares about making money and like has always been very good at making money. Like they grow year on year. There's no ifs, wants, buts about it. Like they will grow year on year. So that pressure was always in the background or in the foreground even. So we always had to have a commitment to get that new incoming company rebranded, slotted into the portfolio somehow, and back out selling again within like 6 weeks maximum. So it was my team and myself personally a lot of the time as well that was in charge of doing discovery work on these companies. So we'd have like the founder come in, fly them over to Glasgow from wherever they were. Like sometimes it was just down south, but other times it was from America, or they started buying in Australia as well. Do this discovery work around where did this company come from? Like, why was it built? What function does it serve? What do the customers like about it? What is the growth plans? What does the roadmap look like? All of those sorts of things. And then I would have to look at the portfolio that we already had, because we, have a lot of products by this point, and see where the alignment was, but most importantly, where the growth plan was. So more often than not, this would be like a smaller company serving into one specific niche, and it was my job to look for where's our fastest path to extra revenue, and how do we get our massive sales team, frankly, selling this to their customer bases in the niches that they were working within. And then get this all out on the website and get like sales enablement materials created, like everything. And that all done usually in about a 4-week turnaround. And that's very representative of the way that I work with clients now. And it just vibes with me. And I think it's the perfect mix of, we will relook at everything. We will make sure that our fundamentals about our ICP, about our value story, about where growth comes from, ultimately, we'll get those locked in and we will quickly turn that into production. Because I'm a big believer that the only true validation is through selling. And I've doubly learned that lesson this year with having to do sales myself as well, because there's such a vast difference between what people will tell you that they want and what they're interested in or what they would pay for and what they're actually willing to put their money down for. And the only thing that matters in business is what people will actually put their money down for.
100%. And also, I feel like it's the founders who are looking for the hacks or the tactics or the easy way to long-term revenue are actually creating the long and the hard route for them. Whilst with you, you say 4 weeks, if you build out a solid strategy and you do your framework and how you've helped businesses, but you go into depth, Jen, that is the level of mindshare, of care, and of longevity that is required as a mindset from a business, especially as a founder, because I just think that the people who are looking for the quick, like, okay, what is the AI tool that will literally add like millions into our business? Or what's the feature that will finally unlock XYZ pipeline? And it's like, you're just slowing yourself down in the market. And there is no room to be slowing yourself down. Mm-hmm. In some ways, I see it as like self-sabotage.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Because think of, if you're a founder who is at an early stage, but like sees a true path to being like a unicorn, then what is going to slow you down more than anything is not having a team around you. Like the founder's main purpose, once you find that product market fit, is to build a team that scales that for you. And your team, especially your commercial team, your marketing and your salespeople, like they need the detail. And actually, so do the buyers too, because like I said before, like you're the expert. So like the neural pathways in your brain between like what the market needs and what the product does is just like a straight line. But the people that you're working with, like they don't all have all that background of years that got you to this point. So they need things to be expanded. And that's actually the greatest gift that a marketer can bring to a team, is taking the nuggets of all of these pieces of the puzzle that you hear from the founder, from product, from sales, bringing that into, I think of it as like a mental model of that value story. And then going even deeper. So one of the pieces that I've changed in my product to value model recently is giving more guidance to people on looking at that pains and those objections. Because I used to have some prompts where like, what are the pains? What are the objectives? What are the jobs to be done? And what are the frictions they're feeling? Now I give people a double click into that even. So what are the business objectives? What are their personal OKRs? What is their personal development goals? Still, what are those jobs to be done? Because like that's really where your product is going to overlap. But also, what are their social needs within a company? Because things like, how do I keep my boss on side? Like, how do I get sales to respect me? Like, these things are really major in enterprises, in any sort of company.
Even in scale-ups.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Yeah. Because like this is the reality. Like at the end of the day, your product is going to be used by a person. You need to know that person. And there's depth and layers to your customers' needs. And what's going to attract them on an advert isn't going to be necessarily the same that's going to convince them to buy in a sales conversation. So you need to have like that full picture and be able to like meet people where they are, because even that customer, their journey of discovering their own problem will be built over a series of points in their day, like, oh, I'm trying to do this task and this keeps getting in my way. Like, that's annoying. And if that keeps coming up, then someone starts to think, oh, maybe you have a problem. Or a conversation they have, like, with their boss, like, that can be another, like, layer onto, oh, there's a problem here. So, like, how problems are built up is usually not just a plus B sort of basic scenario.
That's awesome. And I agree, because I think in retrospect, even having worked in tech for over a decade too, there's a lot of that overlapping piece between how do you manage your cross-functional teams and your team members, but also how does that lead to a go-to-market strategy that works? So let's take it back, one step back, Jen. If we're going to speak about your winning strategy, how you have been able to put together product market fit, go-to-market strategy, and product to value into this 4-week project that you do with clients, walk us through what that actually entails and what success looks like. So someone who's listening right now and they're like, I want to add millions. I can see this product landing so well in the market. How do I do it? What would be your walkthrough for that?
Yeah. So and first, I would say the overall framework of what I do can work for every stage of company. So I can do this same work with a founder who is just solely on it their own at this stage in time and is doing founder-led sales and a lot of the time not feeling good about having to do founder-led sales.
It's like the solopreneur who's just trying to figure out, how do I sell this now? Because they're the builder, right?
Yeah, and it's so hard at that stage because like everything is on you. Your head is pulled in so many different directions. You're fried, and I actually love working with that stage company. But also it works all the way up to scale ups or even established teams who are maybe entering a new market or are have had a big release around their product. So first off, I'll say is there's just universality to doing it this way that I think works for everyone if you're in a B2B like direct sales sort of engagement. So my first week is my favorite week. I love Discovery Week. So this is where I get to whiteboard with people. So I like to meet with clients face to face because I think when we're on Zooms and things like that, like we limit ourselves, and whereas like if you're in a conversation, things are more free-flowing and you get more of those little half ideas, nuggets of things, which I always want to capture because there's always a reason why someone wanted to say it, right?
So in person is your preferred, but it can still be done virtually, right?
Yes, can be done virtually too. Yeah. And for like a one-to-one with a founder, like you're probably not losing much, or even can actually do one-to-one with a marketer who maybe has not got the buy-in from the rest of the team, but knows that the positioning of the go-to-market needs strengthened. That's another option.
Because I love being at home. I don't know. I'm just like, I would rather not meet. I'd rather just like do it remotely. I'm sure that there are founders just like me who are just like, I don't have the freaking time. Like, just give me what I need to take this business to the next level.
Yeah.
I'm like, if it can be done on Zoom,
Yeah.
That's good with me.
I will allow it.
Thanks, Jen.
But I think there's something to be said for even like a half day together makes then working virtually together so much smoother too. I think there's a shared understanding that comes from it. But yes, I will allow it. If you want to work remotely, then we can do that too. The only time I will not allow it is if we are in more of like a scale-up situation where we need to bring together like a representative from like leadership, from product, from sales and marketing. Because I think just once you have all those voices to work with, you need to be in the same room, because a big part of what you're actually doing in that discovery week is aligning the team. So I will come to your house. I will come to your office. I will come to you. You have no option in this. Awesome. But yeah, so first week is all about discovery and getting all what that existing hypothesis that the business has about their right to play, their reason to win. Getting that all out on the table, see where there is alignment internally and see where maybe there isn't, but also asking the teams to also let me question some of their assumptions, because sometimes the market has shifted and maybe their views haven't, maybe the way they're articulating it just seems to be like missing like logic points, something like that, which is the real value of bringing someone fresh to it, because you're basically bringing in the eyes of a uninformed buyer, and that's who you're trying to, you know, reference and influence at the end of the day. So yeah, we'll do a lot of whiteboarding, walking through the whole user story framework canvas that I have. So like those stakeholders, so you're a champion, but also like who are within a B2B buying scenario, who are these other stakeholders that will need to be influenced, because I've seen a lot of tech deals go south because the champion was bought in, but they didn't have an understanding of what the wider business needed. And I saw that a lot when I was working in edge compute in ARM. So, and I think it has similarities to AI right now as well. So whereas maybe companies don't have any problems getting a pilot signed off, when it comes time for converting that pilot into something that is going to be like deployed either internationally or like more widespread within a company if it's an inside company deployment, it just breaks down because the fundamental of the needs changes. And whereas maybe that engineer was optimizing for like battery efficiency, that's not the same requirements that comes into play when you're doing it like a worldwide deployment. So things like efficiency and commercial efficiency come up that original engineer never even considered. So I think it's on us as solution providers to do that thinking of what's that deeper problem, fuller problem. So I hope, if nothing else, people take away that the deeper you go into the problem and the more laterally you think about the problem, the better. Like that's the foundation of all things. And that's a lot of what we're doing in that first week, like really understanding that context, but also being clear about how our product interacts with their world. And I like to lay out individual features, the most important features that the company thinks most important ones for delivering that value, and being very explicit about how that individual feature solves what part of the problem. And then what we also build in that first week is that defensibility too. So it's not enough for you to just say the product does X. So what are those proof points that we can layer into like every stage too? And how do we wrap that up in a case study story? So you're proving that path to value. And from that first week you got your bones of the story that your market needs to hear to buy from you. So second week is going into translating that into a narrative. I like to work on positioning points as the basis of aligning sales and marketing, because I don't like to jump straight to messaging or straight to a deck, because messaging can change. Like, sales conversations cannot always look the same, because you have to engage with how that person is reacting to you in that moment. But if you have a basis of positioning points that you know that you need to hit, then that is something that everyone can align to without feeling compromised. And it makes it real world. Because I think that's where marketing falls down sometimes, by giving sales like an overly polished sales deck that doesn't actually leave room for that conversation. So sales don't use it because it just doesn't fit with how customers want to interact with them. So positioning points of things like, this is our ICP, they want this is the problem that we own, and this is our unique perspective on it. This is the key features that we think are important, and this is why. So, all the things that we discovered in week 1, nailing that to the wall, being like, here's the points that we all agree and align on, and then translating that into messaging. And we'll look at like, how bold do you want to be in your messaging? So I'll give clients maybe like 3 variations of how this could play out in messaging, just to get a vibe check on like, how much do we stand behind this? Like, how do we want to say this?
But it's not just about being bold for bold's sake. It's about being bold to sell, right?
Yeah. And a lot of that boldness comes from like just really believing in it. So it's the passion. And if you can instill like that true passion into the messaging, then that's gold. And then in week 3 is where we then translate that into a sales deck. So I will literally create the sales deck for them.
Oh crap, that's great, because most people don't like creating their own sales decks.
No. And marketing especially
Allergic.
hate it. Yes.
Allergic.
Because they're like, what's even the point? Sales isn't going to use it.
That's true.
Well, some of the times they will not. But if you give them something that's actually designed to close deals, then you're more likely to. And
you create that for your clients.
So I create that. And I will never give that up, because at least then I know if I've created it, then it's based on the strategy for how we win that market that we've already agreed on. Like, we've spent 2 full weeks now talking about and deciding on like, this is why we win. That deck needs to reflect that strategy. And it doesn't most of the time. Like, I've looked at hundreds of pitch decks by this point, and so often they just truly don't. And when sales are just kind of doing it for themselves, it'll reflect elements of it, but it won't be that full winning strategy that we've all agreed as a strategic leadership team that is going to be our winning play.
Yeah. No, that's amazing that you provide that full end-to-end service, because I have seen it with other business owners and marketers where they're literally like, they've been given the strategy and the frameworks and it's great, like it lands, but they are missing the end piece of how to sell. So I think that's killer.
Yeah, no, I think so too. And it's something everyone seems to like hide away from, the actual selling piece. And like, I'm not here to hide. I'm here to make actual money for clients. I'm so invested in the tech scene. Like, it is what has given me passion for the last 10 years. And I just want to see more European companies, especially, like really winning. So I honestly think this is the way to do it. So then that's the 3-week process. Then you're out selling again. So I'll also do like a training video for your team. And I like to do it as a video format because these companies, like, you're bringing on salespeople all the time. So, and you don't want to miss anyone. So you'll have a video that gives them the why behind the deck, which is like really important. What your sellers need is the understanding of the customer, because they're the one, they're the one like having that conversation, having to build that trust and rapport. So they need that depth, which a lot of the times they're not given. They're just being like, just say this, and that's not enough for them.
Or just speak about this feature, etc., which doesn't land in the market.
No, and it doesn't build trust and rapport, and that's what a great salesperson is really great at.
One thing that also I've noticed now by you unpacking your strategy is the fact that in US culture, they are very bullish on selling. It's part of their culture. It's part of their nature. You know, they're like, yes, we sell all the time. But I think why now I've noticed that you lean more towards European countries and European tech scene is because we are naturally more reserved. We don't like to sell. You know, we're naturally more like, you know, the builders, the thinkers, the innovators, but you actually give them everything they need to then sell. Like, holy crap, Jen, that's insane value. That's so good.
Yeah. And it doesn't even stop there. I've not even finished yet. But I want to double click on something you just said, because I think that's so true about us being a little bit scared to be that direct about the value that we offer. And I think that what I want to add is that I think that shows up in B2B a hell of a lot more than it does on B2C. Like, I was on the train a couple of months back and there was this massive Coors beer billboard at the side, and like I had to take a picture of it because they had this massive billboard with a tagline about peak technology, and what it was referencing was on the can, when it's cold, I think like you can see the outline of a mountain, like peak technology, really.
Right, okay.
Like, and I'm sure that it was tongue in cheek. Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure it was like somewhat tongue in cheek, but like it was the entire message of the billboard. And like, can you imagine how much money went into that activation? Like, that's everywhere. So like B2C, they will make a big deal about having like a different colorway. Whereas in B2B, we're asking people to lay out so much more money a lot of the time and not being clear and direct about what the value that we're offering, because we either think it's not enough, and if it's not enough, then babe, what are you doing? But a lot of the time it is enough. It's just that we're not confident in it because we haven't done the work ourselves internally to look at exactly what they care about and exactly the value we offer. So like, I think a lot of confidence actually comes from the process that plays dividends, because then the teams aren't holding themselves back so much anymore.
Yeah, I love that, because your process then not only includes the executional nature and the strategy and everything that you need to actually go out to market, but you instill the confidence.
Yeah.
So not only for a solopreneur who now is like, I need to actually sell this and get it out to market, versus a team of 10 or team of hundreds or thousands, you actually instill the confidence in them to say, you have everything that you need to take this out to market, to have the most effective go-to-market strategy and to outcompete the competition, win at all measures. And like you did at your previous company that you worked for, which they grew month on month, year on year, regardless of what was happening, you're now bringing that blueprint, your own blueprint that you've created, Jen, through all of the hundreds of clients to new clients. This is insane.
Yeah, I honestly think it's all about like that most direct path to value, and like where I tell other people, like there's depth to pains and problems, and like that confidence is actually a huge one that like marketers don't want to own up to, maybe like not understanding the product enough, and sales don't want to own up to like not really believing in the product like claims sometimes. And so
but how can you sell if you don't have confidence?
Exactly.
How on earth? Because
exactly.
your confidence is a transference of your belief in this product to help your customer. If you don't have that confidence, your customer is definitely not going to have the confidence in you to invest potential millions, especially if an RFP lands on your desk. And they're like, we need this. We're considering your tool against 10 others. Now vouch for yourself. Have the confidence to back your tool, to back your value, your product to value, as you highlighted. And it's the ones I think we're unpacking something here that's really deep, where I think now, by what you've said, the business owners and the marketers and the sales teams who don't have confidence or they aren't fully equipped in how to sell, they default to speaking about features. And I think that's a lazy way of selling. Unfortunately, that does not create the cut through because it's not output orientated, it's not outcome orientated. Whilst you and your strategy, your go-to-market plan is so frigging solid and bulletproof because you've done the week-on-week work that then builds up to week 4. And you're like, I have created a mission impossible team out of this organization.
Yeah, exactly. And then even then, like I've said, like the only true validation is through selling. So I don't leave my clients just to be like, okay, you're out selling, good luck, peace out. I actually stick with them. So I will let them go out and actually use the pitch deck, the sales deck on like X number of clients, X number of weeks to see what that true feedback is. And then we will do a final revision based on that market feedback, like picking up the objections that we maybe didn't, think of. Like customers will just throw all sorts of curveballs at you, like out in the wild.
So you iterate with them.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. We'll do a final iteration like after we've actually done some pressure testing in the market.
Yeah, amazing. So what are the make or break moves for the organizations that are like, we want to add millions to our pipeline? Is there anything that you've seen from your organizations that you've worked with where it's like they have literally added millions out of the strategy versus the ones who haven't? What are the make or break moves, like a couple that you could share with us?
I think the biggest things that keep showing up is the strength of the value story and the defensibility. I think a lot of companies are very quick to dismiss the defensibility piece. We're actually...
What do you mean by defensibility?
So layering in very practical terms and very tactical terms, layering in proof points from the very beginning. So every claim that you're making in marketing, that needs to have its own proof points. And within a sales deck as well, I do something different from anyone else that I've seen also too.
Tell us, unpack this.
Yeah, so this has changed over the year as well, this last year as well. So I now do not believe in standalone case study slides, which may sound a bit weird when I'm saying wrap everything up in a case study. But instead of having a flow that's like, here's a feature, here's what it does, here's feature 2, here's what it does, here's feature 3, here's what it does, some vague chat about value, and then here's proof of, we have this client in a similar sector to yours. Like, that's not the job that a case study should be doing. So instead, I would have, say we did have these 3 features that are super important, because I do believe features are important. It's just the way that you talk about them. They have to be tied to value. You need to be doing the direct connection, not leaving it for your customer to figure that out. So say you've got one slide that is feature X, that something about security, let's say. Well, you need to have a case study story that proves that path to value right within there. So like it's a concrete end-to-end story in and of itself. And then you go to the next feature, and then you have a story alongside that of a customer who actually like implemented that, what that actually meant for them. And like that reinforces what you're saying. It makes it believable, and it makes it more memorable as well. And oh my God, that is like half the battle with when you're at that point where your customer is looking at you, but they're also looking at competitors. Like, let's be real. And we all kind of merge into one in a buyer's mind. So if you're giving them these like complete end-to-end stories that they can remember and recall, you're onto a winner.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I love the fact that you've created your own proprietary way to building out sales decks. I just think it's just a game changer. I feel like any marketer or business owner can learn from you and how you've done it. So to end this, I have a little surprise for you.
Oh my goodness.
Because you've been such an amazing person in our field. Thank you so much. You have been such an amazing person in our field, and you've made amazing headway for not only the go-to-market strategy, but also for marketers and for business owners. So I'm delighted to announce that you have won the Product Marketing Mastery Award as part of productmarketers.com. And this is because you've added such value, such insane value. You've literally changed founders' lives, business owners, and having them build out their teams because they are crushing it because of you. So I want to hand this over to you. Product Marketing Mastery Award.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, I'm going to greet. Oh, that is actually so meaningful to me because I've found real passion this year for solving this problem, and I've really loved digging deeper into it and coming up with something that I think is unique, and that is that direct path to revenue. So I really appreciate this validation.
Maybe people can see it. Yay. No, you absolutely deserve it. And if anyone wants to keep in contact with you or reach out to you, where can they do that? How can they get in contact with you?
LinkedIn's number one. I live on LinkedIn far too much, to be honest. Always welcome discussions on what I'm posting. I post a lot of my thinking as it comes to me. So love to start discussions and build out from there and see if we can help more companies.
Yeah, amazing. And I'll have all of Jen's links below. Thank you so much for this discussion. This has been wonderful. And if you found this useful, please comment down below. Any questions you may have, give this a like, give it a subscribe. And thank you again to Jen.
Thanks for having me.